Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Garden State Growing. Again, my name is Eric. Now, if you haven't been to this channel before, I am a backyard gardening enthusiast. I decided to take my garden from about 100 square feet to about 1,200 square feet. And when I had it at 100 square feet, it was a lot easier to manage. Now that I have taken it to such a level where I'm planting so many vegetables at different stages and different stages of harvesting and fertilizing and watering, I found it's best this year that I'm actually going to come up with a legitimate plan. Better than I had last year. Last year, a lot of those plans were just in my head. Some of them I wrote down, but so let me show you what I'm gonna do right now. We are February 6th or 7th right now. It's too cold to do really anything outside. I have plans to expand my greenhouses downstairs. I am going to put up the greenhouse tent that I used last year, but I also have one that's, I believe, around 3 times the size, maybe 4 times the size, coming in Friday or Saturday. I will bring you along for that, even though it's going to be dark and dungy and gross down there. So, anyway, behind me, what I have here is my map or plan of what I'm going to be doing this year. So let me bring you in a lot closer and I'll kind of describe what I'm planning on going through. I don't know how much detail I'm actually going to go into, but I'll let you know. This video, right from the beginning, it is going to be a little long and it is going to be a little wordy because I am going to be explaining things and showing you on this diagram that I have on the brand new TV. I just put it in my refrigerator, in my kitchen. Yeah, I know, it's nice. Alright guys, so I know you can't really see my face that well because I got the bright TV behind me. So let's go right ahead and take a look. Alright, so right here, of course, we have my house. And we can't really garden in there except for in the basement with the grow tent. Alright, so I'm going to bring you over to this section. We're going to start on this section here, and then I'm going to just kind of work my way around. And don't worry, I'll get rid of this once we get over here. I'm going to work my way around over here, and I'll bring you here and all the way back over there. So right here, you can see I grew my corn, pumpkins, watermelon, beans, squash, potatoes, radishes, blackberries. Got the trampoline trellis right here, beets and artichokes. We get rid of that. Carrots, more beans, pumpkins, and squash. And I'm going to stop there before I move on. Now, last year when I planted my corn, I planted, I think like 5 or 6 different varieties. And I was well aware that there was going to be some hybridization with the corn, and I probably wasn't going to end up with much to be edible because most of the varieties that I planted were decorative corn or Indian corn or dent corn. So I really didn't get any edible cobs, but I got a lot of really super pretty cobs of corn that I could decorate with, and I will throw you up a picture while I'm doing this. So this year, my change is going to be, I'm going to plant 1 or 2 varieties of corn, and that's it, probably about 150 plants. If you want to see how I planted them last year, you can go back in my videos. I'm going to be referencing a lot of videos here, so I can't put the links of everything in there because it's going to be all my videos, but you can go back and you can see how I germinated the corn and how I planted and everything else. But I want edible corn this year. I want sweet corn, so I ordered a couple varieties of corn. Once those seed packets get here, I'll go through them and I'll see which 2 I want to plant. Now, speaking of the corn, okay, there's 2 things. Over here, I planted my radishes for over top of my potatoes. I planted my potatoes and I layer planted my radishes on top. So I was able to harvest all my radishes, clear the field. The potato plants were all coming up. I'm going to change that this year because When the radishes grew on top of the potatoes had already sprouted, and sometimes it was really hard to not accidentally pull up a potato plant while you were picking your radishes. So, and you know, the second thing was the radishes that planted themselves in the fall and grew in the cooler weather were bigger, juicier, not woody, and just beautiful radishes. So what I'm gonna do is, I was talking to a potato farmer and he insists that I rotate my potato crop for disease prevention. I wasn't going to. I'm not a huge believer in it. I've never really had that much, but I've never really had that much of a garden to, you know, judge by. So what I'm going to do is corn here is going to go up here, and potatoes are going to come down here, and I'm going to have a nice big section to plant them in. I'm going to have a nice big section over here to plant them in. Go back. And not only that, but this area here is where I grow my beans and my squash and my pumpkins and beans and squash and pumpkins. And you know what beans, squash, pumpkins, and corn is. It's the three sisters. They're always supposed to be planted together. So I'm really happy that when I plant all my beans around this trellis and over here, they're going to mingle with the corn. They're going to throw nitrogen into the soil, and they're going to help fertilize my corn, and it's going to be great. So, okay, so that, we're almost coming to, you know, this section over here, right here, but I need to talk about my sunflowers. I planted them in front of my corn, thinking that it was going to outgrow the corn. I planted them at the same exact time, and the sunflowers germinated a little bit late, and they had a pest infestation when they were just little seedlings that I had to spray neem oil on, but it stunted their growth. And what wound up happening was all this corn just blocked out these sunflowers. I did get some sunflowers. I think I have a couple pictures, but they were very small and they were hidden in the corn, and it just wasn't good. So now that I'm moving my potatoes and my radishes over here, I could still plant my sunflowers where they were, in the front of the house where it's going to get the biggest exposure to sun, which is just great. It'll follow it across the sky. So that's fantastic. And now this corn over here, it's not going to be impeded. But what I am going to do, and over here is my neighbor's house. So when we have these gigantic windstorms, which always come from southeast, they come off the bay and they roll up the hill and they hit us from this direction, you know, so yeah, so it would be from this direction, if you were looking at it the correct orientation. So there's a house here that blocks it. So that is going to stop my corn from getting broken in half from the wind, which did happen because over here it's not protected from the wind. So what I'm going to do is, that's great, they're going to be, you know, protected from the wind, but I'm also, when the stalks get big, I'm going to try to put just some kind of restraint around the outside edges to keep them bunched in just a little bit so they can't, you know, and just snap in half like some of them did. I lost a couple plants. Okay, so that brings me to these two areas of growing. Artichoke and beets. Am I going to plant them together again? You bet I am. Why? Because they grew so fantastic together. The artichokes had no problem growing up and out, and then the beets just grew up underneath, and the way it was, the sun still got to them. The beets were absolutely delicious. They produced really well. And so did, well, my artichokes. I did not get an artichoke, but the plants were huge and beautiful. And unfortunately, because of life circumstances, I was not able to get to the garden one day when it got really cold out. And that's all it took. And it wasn't even that cold. I think it just dropped to like 39 degrees. And it was enough to destroy the artichoke. There's a chance that some of the roots might have been protected and might start coming back in the spring. I did have one plant do that before for me, but I'm not really going to take that chance. I am going to plant new artichokes this year, and I'm just going to have to make sure that if there is any chance of it dropping below 50 degrees. I gotta put my hoop house on it. That's it. All right, so that's done and out of the way. Now we have my trampoline, and if you go back to my trampoline trellis video, you'll see that I planted all my vining beans, my cucamelons, my cucumbers, some gourds, some squash, anything I could think of that was gonna vine up. And I planted it at the base of this, and I put some chicken wire around, and it just grew up to like 15 foot tall. I had beans and cucamelons and cucumbers coming out of my ears. It was absolutely fantastic. But I am going to make one change. That change is I am going to raise this up by putting right here, going around this trampoline. There you go. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put, I'm not sure, I probably will just get like house gutter and mount it right to the frame of the trampoline, but I wanna lift it up to that level of the trampoline, which is about 3.5 feet off the ground. And I'm gonna let everything grow from there. One is gonna protect the plants from rabbits, which I did have a slight rabbit issue. They ate all my blueberries. We'll get to that. So by putting this gutter system around it and planting my vining beans in that, because they don't really need that deep of soil, their roots don't go down really that deep, then I free up room on the bottom to plant my bush beans. Now I had planted a lot of bush beans over here in that corner here, and here, right here, and a lot of beans over here and over here against the fence and over here. And my bush beans were great, but they were kind of spread out, and I didn't actually plant that many plants. This year I am going to double or triple the amount of dragon's tongue beans and my blue burgundy beans, my yard long beans, my snow peas, my snap peas, because we just had such a fantastic time with them. I love them. I eat them by the pile, and then I would love to preserve a bunch of them and keep them to have all year long, you know? So that's great. So I want to plant a lot more beans there. My carrots, let me close this down, and this was my section right here that I planted my carrots. I'm going to plant in the same location. I'm not going to crop rotate my carrots. I haven't seen any evidence that suggests that you must. Matter of fact, the digging up and harvesting of last year's carrots will turn the soil, loosen the soil, and be ready for another season. I shouldn't have to really till it too much or at all. I just want to loosen the soil up so I get those nice straight carrots like I did this year. I got fantastic. All right, guys, I hate to do this to you, but at this point, I'm just going to have to call this episode 1. We're going to have to cut here because of time reasons. These videos are just way too long. There's way too much to explain. So don't forget to look for episode 2 of me planting my garden on one of the next videos that should be coming out shortly after this one. I love you. Have a great evening. 500 subscribers, guys. I couldn't have done it without you. I'm so full of gratitude. I cannot believe that 500 subscribers at this time, a little over a year, especially, you know, with the content that I've been putting out and learning how to video and edit and microphones and technical problems and building my own computer and using my DSLR. I mean, my brain feels like exploding on top of everything else that I was doing last year and COVID. So, you know, getting 500 subscribers means so much to me. Every day I see a couple more, and that's all I want to do is just put out great content, let you guys enjoy yourself. If some of the information I give you is, you know, subpar, I apologize for that. If it's dead ass wrong, please correct me. You know, I'm not perfect and I'm not a genius. I just love doing it and I know how to work hard. So I love you. Have a great evening. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more videos. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. YouTube sucks, and even if you're subscribed, they don't let you know that I put out a new video. If you hit that notification bell, you absolutely will get a notification If you do like this content and you want to share it with your friends, please do. Share it to their page or their timeline. If you don't want to do that and you find it intrusive, share it to your own. If they're your friend, they'll see it on your timeline. Give me a little, recommendation. Hey, check this guy out. And maybe your friends will. And we'll have a great time. I love you. I'll see you on the next episode. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to just do, in every 4-foot section, I'm only going to do 5 plants instead of 6. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 and 2 and then 1 in the middle and then 2 and 2.